What's happening, everybody? It's Spark, and welcome to episode 3 of my MyTeam Career Mode series after what was, I think, quite a well-earned 10th place at Imola, which saw me, unfortunately, I crashed out in qualifying, which meant I had to put something ambitious during the race, which something worked. So with that, it's time for the next round, which is set during Spain. Now, as you can see, I've already invested in the quality control for the chassis department. I kind of skipped all of the upgrades because the race is quite a big one. So I'm having to condense everything and just make sure all of the stuff from the race is there. Well, hopefully I can give you enough background as to what's happening with my sort of upgrades and the sort of pre-season, the kind of admin shenanigans, shall we say. However, if you do like, the series so far, then do leave a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. That would really help me in terms of producing future videos. As you see, I've gone for another power. I'm going to go for another power unit upgrade, the ECU. Because we've got a lot more resource points coming our way, and we're also going to go for a piston upgrade there. And with the investments in the stuff, we've obviously got the quality control for the chassis, as you saw earlier in the video. We've also got an analysis suite for the personnel, so we're finally investing in the personnel department, in the second driver department of our team. And with those raft of upgrades you saw at the beginning, we are now the 5th fastest team. On paper, at least. I mean, I'm not the fastest driver out there, so it just depends on, obviously, how it gets around to performing in the track. But as you see, we're slowly climbing up the ranks in terms of in terms of the pecking order in the town. As far as practice went, like as you see there, all the completed all the practice modes, everything was pretty much done, and I'm just going to quickly show you some of the developmental boosts that we're putting forward. And it's a very interesting one because my rivalry really so far is with Sebastian Vettel, and with him, he's currently 2 up on me with regards to the about scoring each other. He's always out-qualified me, but we've always matched him in the races, so he's currently doing a number on us, so we've got to really make inroads into Seb to see if we can really take the fight to him. And with Dan Tipton's, I think his focus as well has got to be another focal point for us going into this series, because his focus on last time was only at about 55, which is quite low, and I think a lot of that can be attributed to the poor result he had last time, unfortunately, which is a shame. Again, Spain is not another. It's another one of those tracks that I'm not particularly good at. There's, like Imola, it's always got that one section of corners that absolutely kills me, and it's about the middle of the it's the middle of the lap, as you'll see once we get round to the qualifying lap, as you're just about to see on the screen. We did get a banker lap actually in there, but what we decided, well, it wasn't particularly fast, so we have got to go out now and put forward what we think will be a good enough lap to get through into Q2. As we go down to the long straight, which somehow was impossible to overtake in real life in Formula 1. As we go down to the first corner, it's down to 4th gear, and we don't take as much curb as we could. That's the qualifying effectively coming to an end, as the amount of grip, we run so far wide with this car with that long right-hander, but that takes so much out of the tyres. They'll get to about 100 degrees by the end of this lap. We drop down to 3rd for that left-hander. We have to stay in 6th there just to ensure that engine braking is as much as possible. This is the chicane I was telling you about. That one, it looked okay there, but I'm not really that fast through there. I had to drop down to 6th because again, as you can see, I'm not sure whether it's my setup or whatever, but I just don't feel like we've got the grip to tackle those mid-speed corners like in time trials per se. As we go down to the final sector, and there we have the long right-hander there. Let's go down to this god-awful chicane that somehow they didn't end up fixing in real life. We've gone a little bit far. We've taken probably a little bit too much curb there. As we come down to the line, we are so far up on our time. But is this going to be enough to get us through into Q2? And the answer is no. No. The answer is no. Dan Tigtum has gotten through though, so really, really good job for him. But we're out, and Vettel has beaten us yet again in qualifying. And we have got to put our thinking caps back on for this race. But looking at the forecast, as you're about to see, which is the reason why this video is so long.
It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
Thank you for that, Jeff. Once again, useful as ever. As you'll see, once we go down to the race, it's actually forecast to rain at some point. But looking at the forecast is near the latter end, so I think it's better for us to start potentially on the medium tyre. But with 33 laps, anything can happen. But we have got to beat Sebastian Vettel because he's running away with the rivalry.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. The Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, a track that will certainly force the drivers to push themselves. It consists of a very impressive main straight going into turn 1. It's a straight that also offers a DRS zone, so it's likely to be a hot spot for overtakes. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Why don't we discuss McLaren? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and Perez, Norris, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, and Pierre Gasly, Ocon, Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda, and Stroll, Tigtum, Giovinazzi, the owner driver, and Kimi Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, Russell, Latifi, and Nikita Mazepin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
It's certainly going to be an ambitious one, Jeff, but looking at the strategy, the best way I reckon is definitely to start on the medium tyre, but with its forecast to rain, I'm not sure going on to hards is potentially the best option, so I think we're going to stretch as far as we can out on the mediums. I think really exploit the softs. Well, I will keep on to hards just in case the rain isn't coming. But we have got an uphill battle to get ourselves to see if we can score some points with Tigtum ahead of us in qualifying as well. As the 5 lights come on, they go out, and we're underway. And the Alfa Romeo next to us actually beats us in terms of overall getaway. But we've got the overtake everything on, and Raikkonen's right behind us at the moment. So we are effectively crowded, and there's nothing much we can do. As we come down to the first corner, we have got Lance Stroll to the right of us, and if we get that comes around the inside to the left-hander, as well as we go around the long right-hand side where we lose a lot of performance like we did in qualifying, but we have gotten ahead of Lance Stroll. Now into the end of the first sector, and we've got our teammate Dan Tigtum to fight for on this one as we go down to the broadcast view, and we're going to send it down to the inside of Tigtum, and we have made quite an ambitious overtake there, quite an important one that saves us from being held up by our teammate. But that was a brilliant overtake, I think, from us. We needed to do that, and we have got the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda ahead of us coming down to the end of lap 1. Now, the way of Spain is, I felt like this race kind of went very much as they sort of did in real life. It's very much a bit DRS trains as they're going around, and that's essentially what happened for the first 3 laps. We stay behind Yuki Tsunoda as we go around to complete lap 3 and onto lap 4. As you'll see, we'll get DRS, but I'm not sure we can do anything with it. As we go on the leader with Valtteri Bottas, and Bottas has spun the car. Valtteri Bottas has spun the Mercedes. Unfortunately, not one of the best moments for him. As for us, we can see him there, and he's just looked like he's just parked the car. So I'm not really sure, like, he's got a mechanical issue to retired, and the safety car has come out. And with that, I think that we have a very...
Slow your pace immediately.
We got a chance to really make this work if it's definitely going to rain. With Tsunoda ahead of us, and that's actually triggered a lot of people running on the soft tyres to come into the pits. We've got Leclerc, we've got the McLaren of Norris, the Ferraris are double stacking, and as you'll see there, Carlos Sainz is losing time as a result. And very soon, I don't think the leaders have actually come in, but there's a lot of cars in front of us that have decided softs is not how it's going to go. And with a 50% race, there's not really much to do for the tyre. And looking at that, Tictum has got a problem yet again. Our teammate Dan Tictum, this time it wasn't an incident. It looks like reliability has let him down. That is such a shame for him. As we see the leaders, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, both coming in to make tyre changes. But I can't help but feel that that's completely at the wrong time, because with the field having all bunched up, that means they are going to drop so far down the lead. And looking at this, Hungary's race winner Esteban Ocon has now inherited the lead. We are still behind Yuki Tsunoda with Sebastian Vettel ahead of us as well. He's the one we really got to fight. Once we go down to lap 7, the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. So this restarts are something I'm not particularly good at. Well, with these lower speed sections of the track, unfortunately, that is not going to help us at all where it comes to getting some heat into the sides. You can see there, I'm trying to weave around like wildfire, just trying to get some heat into them. But somehow, all these cars in front of us do not seem to be, they don't seem to need to run around them. Maybe that's just how the AI works. I'm not entirely sure. But we have got some very, very cold tyres on us. You'll see from the graphics there, and that completely hurts our exit as we come out the last corner. Starting lap 8, we've got the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll right behind us. We are weaving like crazy, not just to block him, but to make sure we just get some heat into the tyres. As the Aston Martin goes round to the inside in the first corner, what is going to happen? He lunges down the inside, and he spun! Stroll has spun, and Raikkonen has stopped right in front of him, and that's caused the pile-up! Everybody has stopped on track. Thankfully, no one's actually hit each other, but Lance Stroll has spun out, and that gives Kimi Raikkonen effectively, 7th or 8th place. But they have lost so much time trying to avoid Lance Stroll, and we have just built up a gap of about 10 seconds from, okay, maybe it's quite aggressive defense, it has to be said, but still, that is handing us a mountain of opportunities for this race. I would say it's probably, it's not, I'm going to defend myself. I gave him, I think, a fair amount of space, and Lance spun it on himself. But maybe I could have given him a little bit more space, but I'm going to put that down to purely a racing incident. I'm not biased at all, guys, if you can probably tell. And there we are. We're still struggling with sort of lack of tyre heat or lack of tyre prep as we've gone down to lap 8. And this kind of fairly stayed the same. The gap between myself and Tsunoda kind of extended very much from there. And we were just trying to eke as much life as we could out of these tyres. It's really coming up to about lap 14, as you're about to see, where things really get interesting for us. As you see, Max Verstappen is also back into the pits, as well as Lewis Hamilton for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why they've gone back into the pits, but that, I think, is definitely going to keep them off our backs, which means, realistically, Esteban Ocon could actually win this race ahead of Vettel, ahead of Tsunoda, and I think myself as well. So, I don't know what's happened here, guys. This race has just turned completely on its head. Whereas we, on the medium tyres, we were due to stop about lap 15, but those laps under the safety car should help us eke out a lot more time. So we are actually going to extend our strategy by about a couple of laps, because I'm still very much getting the feeling that this is just in case there is rain actually coming along. As you'll see with the corner I had there, I'm still not 100% confident with it though. And with the gap between myself and Tsunoda just growing and growing, it doesn't look like this strategy is really working with us, given the people that we're actually racing against. As we're going down to the third sector, what's going to happen with the leaders? We're setting personal best though, so it's eventually starting to come to us as we go into the lead with Esteban Ocon, who comes into the pits, as well as Yuki Tsunoda. Though let's see. I think looking at their tyres, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be putting on, but with us, that means we will be. We've inherited second place effectively, and in the lead in front of us is our chief rival, Sebastian Vettel, who, while we've gotten beat on points, we haven't quite gotten beat actually in overall rivalry, because it's the little things like the fastest lap, podium finishes, or qualifying finishes and whatnot that are actually giving him the advantage. And now we see Vettel come into the pits in lap 15, which means for the first time we are actually leading a Grand Prix at IIRL Racing. We got 2 laps though to absolutely send it and make sure that we can potentially overcut the other 2 drivers, particularly Tsunoda. I think that's someone that I've really got to overcut, because he is very much going to be getting on my nerves in terms of being able to pass or whatever. But I get the feeling, guys, that the rain is coming, so instead of going out onto the hards, I'm actually going to take a risk with this one. I am going to go onto the soft compound tyres once I come into my pit stop, so by the time that they burned out, the track should be wet enough to actually go onto the intermediate tyres. But now with ourselves, we're setting personal bests every single time to go down to lap 17, and we lose the back end and nearly clout it into the wall. I think we'll probably lose about a second because of that. I think that's the point. The tyres are giving up on me, and it's time to come in and change. With myself leading, we got Sergio Perez behind, who is also on a 2-stop chassis himself. He's out of place because of what happened with the safety car, but with us, it's time for us to come in and make our scheduled pit stop. With the rain coming, it's got to be a good one, boys. It's got to be a very, very good stop, and I think, yeah, for sure, we're definitely going to go onto the softs. And we're going to play it very, very bold, because God knows what's going to happen with the other drivers, and I'm not confident on the hards at all with this game. I just don't feel like they've got enough grip really to do anything at all, as we're very, very slow actually getting on the button, and that's going to cost us time, as there we see in front of us Yuki Tsunoda rejoins us pretty much at the same gap to what we had before, so a bit careless on my part, and now we've got Yuki Tsunoda ahead of us with plenty of laps to go until before the rain comes, but crucially, we are on the soft tyre, so we have got to hunt down Tsunoda while making sure there's enough life in the tyre for when the rain eventually comes. And I am very much convinced that it is coming. We could play an absolute blinder with this race and win big in terms of race results. So we've got to drive extremely. We got to be very circumspect with our driving and our driving style, and now we've got Yuki Tsunoda right ahead of us coming up to lap 20. The exit wasn't too bad from us, and now we've got the AlphaTauri with DRS open now. We're going to go to the broadcast view to see how this pans out. We are coming now to overtake Yuki Tsunoda. DRS activated. We brake very, very early, it has to be said, but we make the overtake stick, and that's another place gained for us as we see Sergio Perez now right on the back of Red Bull's sister car, the AlphaTauri. Now we have got to set after Sebastian Vettel, who is also on the hard tyres, and Esteban Ocon, look, still on hard tyres, but still very much in contention for the race win. Unless Sergio Perez can pull an absolute blinder in hunting him down, and there we go. I think our confidence is starting to come with that certain chicane, especially with those new soft compound tyres.
Rain is imminent. Rain is imminent. Be careful out there. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
Wow. It's all coming my way, I think. I think it's all coming my way. It could be a brilliant, inspired decision from myself, or I could spin it and end up going into the pit wall. But going onto the soft tyre, I can't help but feel that's the right decision, because according to Jeff, the rain is definitely coming. So those on the hard tyres will have no doubt be able to get to the end of the race, but those hard tyres could be useless by the time the rain actually comes out. To go down to lap 23, at the end of lap 23, coming on to lap 24, our exit was not too good. But already, if you look at the wear on the fronts, we are eking so much life out of these already. Come down to lap 24, but are we going to attempt an overtake on Vettel? No, we're not. We brake very, very early. We back out very early, I think it has to be said. But now Hopefully we should get a good run through this long right-hander here. Vettel is coming towards us. We could try something extremely ambitious here, but oh no, we not. And we were so close to steaming it up the back of that Aston Martin. Now, with Esteban Ocon in front of us, we could even take the lead back again after this. So, as you'll see behind, Sergio Perez has made his way past Tsunoda and is right on our back. So he could also be in a great position to actually win this Grand Prix should he's able to get past the three of us. At the end of lap 24, Vettel has a horrid exit, the rear end stepping out on him as he comes down to the straight where DRS will surely be activated for us, and this is our chance to make the move stick. We're gaining. We go down to the inside. We're going to send it quite late. That is quite a lunge. And there we have it. We keep the car on the track, and we have gotten ahead of our chief rival Sebastian Vettel, who now will have Sergio Perez to contend with. So hopefully the time you're going to spend defending against him will give us the breathing space we need to go ahead and attack Esteban Ocon. How has this race turned out like this? I mean, the usual suspects are almost out of contention for the race. As you can see on the screen, rain is starting to go on the camera visor, which means that hopefully things, in a couple laps, things should really start to swing my way.
Light rain will stay with us for at least 20 minutes, maybe more. Light rain is here to stay.
20 minutes of light rain, and hopefully with just enough life left in the tyres, they're going to be at about 40% on the end of lap 25. We've got so much more pace than Esteban Ocon, but not really the confidence is taking a hit because of the wet drops of rain that are just coming down from the sky. And with that, we go on to lap 26, and you can almost see the rain really is coming down a little bit harder, but the track is not wet enough yet for the intermediate tyre. This might go against us actually, because we've gone farther than what we think was possible with the soft tyre in terms of life. As you can see, our exit there is horrendous, and that has given Esteban Ocon a lot of breathing space. We're going to be struggling, I think, with Vettel coming up to the back of us. But actually, no, we're actually gaining on Ocon, but we're not close enough to actually make the move. This is so close, and very much an outside chance for us to actually win a Grand Prix with this car. I mean, who could have thought? I mean, IIRL Spark Racing, the second season, getting an absolute fluke of a win. It has to be said, but those tyres, I think they're just starting to give out on us. It's still not wet enough yet, so it's not working. It's actually going against me, and we're building up tyre wear after tyre wear. We must be on about 50%, so that's where we really start to lose some performance. As look how close we can get to Ocon through that sector, but to go round the right-hander, this is where Ocon really starts to pull out, but we're actually much closer this time around. We just need a good exit here going into this god-awful chicane, but we go wide on the first corner, and we have to go so tight on the second part of the chicane, but that is going to leave us victim rather to Sebastian Vettel. We do not have DRS to protect ourselves from the Aston Martin. Esteban Ocon is getting away from us, but is Vettel going to go for the move? No, he's not. But we're actually in a bit of a rock and a hard place now, because we've gone further than what we thought was possible with the dry tyres, with the softs, but with that, we're really going to be losing grip, but don't think the track's actually fully wet enough yet for intermediate. So as you'll see, we're locking up all over the place, and that is allowing the Alpine to get away. As you just see, we're losing grip, we're losing time. I think the strategy's worked against us. We've taken too much life out of these softs for the strategy to work, so we are going to come in now and take an even bigger risk putting on those intermediate tyres. All we can do now is pray. Pray the track deluges enough to deem the intermediate tyres a worthy option. That means everybody else will struggle on their dry tyres, which means that we can make up something in the background. And now we've got That's a quick stop by the boys. 2.1 is a really, really good stop.
No more scheduled
But
pit stops.
we're much easier getting on the getting off the pit lane limiter, and let's see what kind of grip we'll have with the intermediate tyres. Oh, and as we light up the rears and nearly spin out, doesn't look like we've got that much grip. I think the track's not wet enough. The track is not wet enough to go onto the intermediate tyres. We're almost wide there. As you can see, we're just taking life as that, and we're locking up. We're just going to overheat the tyres, unfortunately. We are not going to make up the time that we need. We were too ambitious with the soft. It was a great idea at the time, but is this going to be working out against us? I don't think we're going to have the laps available to us to actually hunt down Yuki Tsunoda, which effectively just seals us down in 8th place. But we are maintaining pace comparative to Kimi Raikkonen.
Fuel remaining.
Yeah, I don't care about how much fuel I've got left, Jeff. It's not going to make much difference to my race. As you'll see, we can stay ahead of Raikkonen. That part I don't doubt. But catching up to Tsunoda and making these intermediates actually work is going to be a bit of a tall order for us. It has to be said. Let's come down to the start of what's going to be lap 30. As we see around this time, laps 31 to lap 30-31, this is where the track really starts to get wet. So this may actually pull us back, but the DRS is still activated. It will not be long until those DRS flaps, I believe, close. But it's all too late, I think. I feel it's all too late. Sebastian is holding off the other Red Bull, which I think is actually Max Verstappen. And also go, yes, that is Max Verstappen, whereas the other the other Alpine, Fernando Alonso, is holding off Lewis Hamilton. We're still on lap 30. Every lockup there is just so painful, because on paper, just for a gut feeling, this looks like it was going to be an absolute blinder of a strategy. But it hasn't, but it's just not working out. And with Tsunoda so far ahead of us, I mean, we sealed us down in about 8th place. Well, there's no way those softs were going to do it. But coming up to lap 32, this, as you see, a little less luck up there as I get to grips with the tyres. This is where actually we start to come into our own. While we are overheating the front left a little bit, it's very much, I think it's wet. As you can see from the tyres, the spray coming off, it is definitely wet enough now for the intermediate tyres. So we've just got to drive extremely cautiously, take advantage of the places where we know where the grip is. And who knows, Tsunoda could actually be coming back to us. As we look at the AlphaTauri here, he is struggling like crazy. Well, he's got no speed. And even the Williams there that was on the intermediates had actually overtaken him and unlapped himself. We've gone a little bit wide in terms of track limits, but
Clear patch on its way. There's about 10 more minutes of this rain. Some information on Gasly. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
what are you telling me about a 10-minute clear patch that's away from us? We're actually reeling in Yuki Tsunoda now, who, it's the last lap. Could we nab ourselves a potential last point? And there we had to drop down so low. His tyres must be so cold. But I have no idea just how the hell the AI are able to maintain all that levels of grip, whereas we can go a gear higher and look at the times there. We are reeling him in bit by bit by bit. Unfortunately, we're not able to beat Sebastian Vettel. The strategy just hasn't quite worked against us, but it's a very... Oh, we nearly lose the back end now coming out of that corner. But as we know, I don't think it's going to be far enough to catch Tsunoda. But as Sergio Perez hunts down the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, the Frenchman wins somehow. He wins the Spanish Grand Prix as we try everything we can, but it's not enough to catch Yuki Tsunoda. Our scramble in the wet, unfortunately, hasn't paid off.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
Another another Spanish Grand Prix is over, and what a special race it was. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Here come today's winning drivers, and what a race it was. This is a team that knows success very well in F1, and they're just itching for even more. Congratulations to the Alpine team for their excellent win.
Credit to Ocon. He held off. He made it work. Absolutely unreal drive from him. But not the best race for us, it has to be said.
Championship leaders. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
I gotta be honest, mixed feelings. Mixed feelings for us with that race. It just felt so right to try the alternate strategy. But now Vettel's ahead of us in championship and we have fallen down to P8 in the standings. We've got to do something to help Dan Ticktum, because I imagine his morale has absolutely plummeted after retiring in Spain and crashing in Imola. This one hurts. I'm not gonna lie, this one hurts. So imagine there's a lot for me to think about and a lot of areas to potentially upgrade and invest in when it comes to Aston Martin. We didn't even get any interview questions as well, so we haven't been able to draw in the money that we would have. Damage as well, we've only got 30 grand to spare there. So that really has not gone our way at all. But kudos to Ocon and kudos to Vettel. They made it work. And with Vettel's podium, that actually puts him ahead of us in the point standings, unfortunately. So there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this particular episode. It was quite a big one, so I tried to get everything in there in the right amount of time. If you liked the video, then do leave a like and comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Like I said, that will really help me out in terms of producing more videos for this channel. So, thank you guys for watching. Look out for the teaser in Azerbaijan. I've been Spark. See you guys next time.